Here's a few things I wish I would have known at 18. So for anyone who might not know who I am, I'm Justin. I've been pursuing a music career ever since I was 17 when I graduated high school. There's been a lot of ups and downs, and early on in my career I realized that videos and visuals are going to be a big part of promoting my music, as well as pictures and social media management. So that inspired me to get into videography and photography. I started producing music videos for other artists, and just recently I've realized that I can take the video skills that I've acquired into other avenues such as business promotion, real estate, weddings, etc., etc. And throughout this journey I've learned a lot of valuable lessons that I wanted to share with you today. Some of these tips might not be completely related, they might be a little scrambled, but these are a few things that I wish I knew when I was 18 and I was starting up. Stop worrying about what other people think of you. Most people walk around just worrying about themselves and their own insecurities, trying to fit into these social boundaries and walls that society's put up for us. Almost every time that you accidentally make a fool of yourself, that person's probably gonna have 5 crazy things happen in the next 20 minutes and it'll be long forgotten. Just be yourself and stop worrying about what other people think. You've probably heard the phrase health is wealth, and I think this is true for many different reasons. For one, buying healthy and organic products that don't have a bunch of processed chemicals and yada 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 are a lot more expensive, which means you gotta be pretty wealthy to afford them on a regular basis. Even though with inflation, fast food's been getting even more expensive than just buying groceries at the store, which is really a blessing. I hope people will start cooking their own food more often instead of eating out. You've got 100 problems in your life until one thing goes wrong with your health, and now you only got one problem, and that's your main focus. And now everything else is put on the back burner. The amount of work you can do is going to be limited. You're going to be spending time and money going to doctor appointments in the hospital. It's a lot tougher to make progress on your goals when your health is getting in the way. And third, I've noticed that on days when I can get a workout in and I can eat clean versus days when I don't get a workout in or I eat a bunch of processed garbage, my productivity is much higher on that day when I'm taking care of my health. And a lot of people will say, oh, I don't have time, working out takes like an hour out of my day. Well, wake up earlier. I'm a firm believer that if you lose an hour of sleep for an hour of exercise, you'll probably have twice as much energy. And that leads me to my next lesson that I've had to learn. I know that warm bed in the morning is so comfy and it feels so good to just lay around for a couple hours. But if you force yourself to get up and push through that first couple minutes of being tired, your energy levels throughout the day are going to be substantially higher. Oversleeping is a very real thing. You've got a certain amount of sleep cycles throughout the night, and when you hit that deep REM sleep where you're having your dreams right before you wake up, that's usually where people go back to sleep for another hour and they slip back into another sleep cycle, and all of a sudden your body thinks you're starting your sleep over again, and you wake up when it's getting too late and your mom or your girlfriend's saying, why are you always sleeping in? Then you're trying to wake up in the middle of that sleep cycle, which in turn is actually going to make you more tired throughout the day, and even right when you wake up too. A lot of our everyday processes and tendencies come from ancestral adaptations. For example, our bodies and mind get tired when we start to get cold, because before we had controlled climates with all these heaters and air conditioners, people lived outside, people's bodies were conditioned to go to sleep when it got dark and it got cold outside, and then their bodies would wake up when it starts to warm up. So you can use this to your advantage when you're trying to get work done throughout the day. Don't crank your AC all the way up and freeze the whole house. Put it to a comfortable, warm level and keep your body warm throughout the day. Or if you're on a long drive and you're not trying to fall asleep on the road, don't completely crank the AC. Keep yourself warm and you're gonna stay awake. This is why most people like to keep their room super cold and cover up with a big old blanket, because when your body gets cold, it's gonna want to go to sleep. These ancestral tendencies can be compared to a lot of different aspects of our life. Another example would be our ancestors wouldn't wake up and immediately have a cupboard full of food to go to. They would have to forage and burn some calories and work out for a while until they found some food. This is where fasting or intermittent fasting comes into play. A lot of people roll out of bed and go right to the cupboard and pour themselves a bowl of cereal with some sugary almond milk and spike their insulin first thing in the morning, which tricks your mind into thinking, hey, I need more and more food throughout the day. The best way to start off the day would be to get outside, get some natural sunlight, go for a little walk, put your bare feet on the ground, connect to the earth, and then get some work done. Get yourself hydrated with some water and electrolytes, and maybe after you've been up for a few hours, then go for some eggs, which are known for keeping your insulin level really low throughout the day so that you don't feel like eating and eating and eating. They also contain almost every vitamin and micronutrient that your body needs. When you wake up in the morning, try not to look at your phone. What you do before you go to sleep sleep and the first thing you do when you wake up is gonna program how your mind's gonna want to react to the rest of the day. If the first thing you did when you woke up in the morning was scroll on your phone, throughout the rest of the day your mind's gonna want to go back to that. Scroll. Same thing hour or two before you go to bed. Read a book. And also, I'm sure you've heard of how blue light can keep you up all night. When you look up in the sky during the day, what do you see? Blue light. When you look at your phone at midnight right before you go to bed, what do you see? Blue light. It's telling your mind that it's the daytime, you need to be awake. Even once you get to that point of being tired and wanting to fall asleep, you think that you're sleeping, but studies show that blue light exposure can keep your mind awake for up to an hour once you have actually fallen asleep. So no wonder you're waking up feeling like a zombie, right? Neurotransmitters like dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin are the biggest factors when it comes to discipline, pleasure, addiction, and reaching those goals that you've been going for. Building an understanding of how these chemicals work and how the receptors in your brain can be worn out from too much of any of these neurotransmitters can single-handedly help turn your life around. Once you start to understand the negative effects of cheap dopamine or even giving yourself too much dopamine, it'll be much easier for you to stay disciplined, stay consistent. Dopamine is actually released when you're pursuing your goals, but it's also released when you're pursuing that next funny video that's gonna make you laugh or that next attractive woman on your explore page. And so if you're spending multiple hours a day overloading your brain with cheap dopamine, you're telling your mind that you don't even need to pursue your goals because you already have plenty of dopamine with this little robot in your pocket. When you start to understand how these neurotransmitters work, all of a sudden the next time you're at the gas station and you see that bright colorful package of candy that you've seen 100 different ads for and your brain's going, give me dopamine, grab that candy, you can say, hey, no, that's just dopamine. That's not going to give me any nutrients. That's not going to make me feel good. I've got enough dopamine pursuing the goals that I need to achieve. I'm good off that. So once you start to understand how all these neurotransmitters work in your brain, it's a lot easier to make those disciplined decisions. When you've got dreams and goals that are larger than life, have the expectation that things might not turn out exactly how you dreamed and imagined them originally. When I was 17 getting into music, I was on top of the world. I thought nothing could stop me, but I barely knew any of the ins and outs of the industry. My biggest goal was to get a record deal, and I didn't even know what that meant at the time. And once I learned that it's basically a really bad bank loan where most of the profits of my art were going to go to some corporation that doesn't give a crap about me, and they would probably use my image and audience to promote negativity and ungodly things, I realized that's not the route that I want to take, which meant that I got to figure out how to do all of these things on my own, which I could have been disappointed and had a negative attitude about, but no, I trusted the process. I tried my best to learn the ins and outs of marketing and videography and promoting yourself online, and even more importantly, promoting yourself in person and communication, people skills. And now all of that work that I put into that is coming back around, and I'm able to create a media management company on the side of my music to fund the things that I ultimately want to do, which was nowhere near exactly what I imagined in the beginning. This is why you gotta be ready to adapt, and when things start to fall into place for you, don't fight the current. So whatever that goal or dream might be for you, just stay consistent and persistent and be ready to adapt as you gain more knowledge and experience. It doesn't really matter how many degrees and certifications you have if you don't have communication and people skills. Language and communication is what connects all of us. You could have 3 degrees, but if you don't know how to properly execute a job interview, you're never gonna get a job. But good thing is there's a lot of free information out there, a lot of good books on the art of sales, the art of communication and persuasion. Even if you're not a salesman, you're still gonna be selling every day in almost every aspect of your life. You're gonna be selling your boss on why you should get a raise. You're gonna be selling your wife on why she should stay with you. You're gonna be selling your kids on why they should listen to you. A lot of people would say that sales and leadership is manipulation, but the foundation of all good salesmen is that we know that our product or service will ultimately in the long run be beneficial for you. We just have to make you realize that for yourself. It's never too late to start working on communication and people skills. I've wasted so much time these past couple years trying to be in a relationship, trying to have a girlfriend. I would be much closer to my goals if I would have just focused on building myself up and building a future for myself. Now, don't get me wrong, love is love, but the more you can raise your value as a person through developing skills and building a career for yourself, the better chance that you're going to attract a higher value person when the time comes. If I could do it all over again, I wouldn't even consider being in a relationship until I was ready for it. A relationship is a huge time and money commitment. In this economy of inflation and high cost of living, having another stream of income can be beneficial. That's where the phrase, if they're not helping you, they're hurting you, comes into play. Now, every situation's different, but don't take this decision lightly. Deciding who you're going to spend spend the rest of your life with is one of the biggest decisions that you're gonna have to make in your life. So choose wisely. But there is balance to everything. Don't be the person that never finds love because they're too busy working on their career for their whole life. Alright y'all, that was a few things that I wish I knew when I was 18. I'm now 23, so hopefully some of you out there can learn from my mistakes. I appreciate you making it to the end of the video. Let me know down in the comments if you guys want more videos like this. Keep pushing for those goals. Stay blessed, y'all. I'll see you next time.